I feel the same as you. Like, I would love to tell my whole story, but I feel like I couldn't. If
Yeah.
I wanted to continue like even normal talking relations with
Yes.
the person. You look so good. I love
Thank
following
you.
you. How's your new job going? Like, are you all good?
Yeah, like I am probably like 3 months away from being a licensed therapist, which is crazy to me. And my divorce coaching is going really well, but I'm actually going to be specializing in couples for
Oh,
therapy.
that's
So,
better.
yeah.
That's really cool. So you're divorce. I didn't even know you were doing divorce coaching right now.
Yeah. So I've been doing divorce coaching for like 2, 3 years now. So I have a pretty big like client base. I'm also going to school full time. So I'm not like, I can only take so many people, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. It started like, and then I was like, yeah, I want to become a therapist because I'm not being able to serve them as much as I want to.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so when you're doing divorce coaching, are you just sort of walking them through things that they need to know,
No,
or that sort of,
no.
because as you know, and as the people that are divorced only know, is that you really know nothing when you start out. Like,
You know nothing.
you're getting divorced and you're like, okay,
Hmm.
now what do I do? And you have no idea about the path in front of you. And there's such a lack of information out there to sort of lead you in the right direction. I felt like I wish I'd had someone that could have told me, like, this is exactly what you should do.
I don't do that kind of divorce coaching because I think everyone's situation is really different.
Yes.
If it comes up that I like have some insight, then into like the legal process or whatever, and I definitely refer my clients to different family lawyers.
Yeah.
My coaching is really about how to reclaim yourself
I love that, Kathleen.
after a divorce and through a divorce, because I think what a lot of people experience is, first of all, it's like the rug getting pulled out from under you, like, and then
Yeah.
you have to rebuild your life, and then you have to know, like, who am I? If I've been with this person for X number of years, like, who am I now on my own? And I think a lot of people struggle with that. And then the other big piece that I help, like, honestly, I could say I'm also a grief coach because
Yeah.
there's so much grief that
Yeah.
goes along with divorce. So I think that that's really the kind of coaching I do.
That is so amazing and so needed, I feel, because that's exactly how I felt. Like, I felt like I just fell into a pit,
Yeah.
and I was just sort of hanging there, falling in free fall for a long time. And it takes a lot to get your feet uh underneath you again. So I love that you do that. I love that. I think it's so needed. And as well, I love that we're talking about that, and I feel like I have so many more questions about that. But you are my first guest on
Thank
my
you.
divorce podcast called Starting Over. And
Yay.
I've actually wanted to hear your story because like, I've heard little bits of it when we've talked
Mhm.
in the past, and I knew it was happening. And as I said, I've been watching you and just love you as a person so much. And I thought it would be just an interesting place to start, because sort of the last time we were like in the same place was when you and your ex were not exes and were selling your place in Toronto and planning to move up to the country, or sort of north. And I remember feeling like you guys were extremely happy, and
Mhm.
you had you just seemed to have a really great relationship, and with your daughter as well. And uh I couldn't imagine anything going wrong. And I think not long after, was it like a year or two, did things go wrong?
Let's see. I think it was, I love that I don't even remember now. It was 4 years ago that we separated. So it was, it was 6 years ago. I'd say that things were really like they took a turning point. So it was about a year after we moved out here, and it has nothing to do with moving to the country.
Yeah, no, of course not. The country's the best.
It is.
So how did you guys initially meet?
So I was thinking about this because I couldn't even remember. We met online. We met on a dating site, and I couldn't even remember what dating site it was because I don't even know if it's around anymore. But we met on Match.com. And I remember I didn't even want to go on the date. He had this like horrible profile picture, and it was like a bathroom selfie. It was like just horrible. But his profile was amazing because it really resonated with me. I was really into mindfulness. I still am. I was really into yoga. I was really into like just more obscure musical tastes. And he had mentioned all those things in his profile. And so we set up like just a coffee. Well, we were going to go to a pub, and that has relevance in a second. But we met, I remember exactly, we met at Yonge and Eglinton, and he was way better looking than he was in the profile picture. And actually, that's the first thing I said to him. I was like, you do not look like your profile picture.
In a good way, for one.
In a very good way, And so we went to a pub, and he ordered tea. And I remember being like, that's weird. Why is this guy ordering tea at a pub? And, I'd find out later that he was in recovery from alcohol addiction. And we were engaged about 6 months later.
Wow.
We bought our house, the one that you sold, 6 months later. We bought that house in Toronto, and things were good, but there were definitely red flags that I didn't listen to.
Like gut feelings, like maybe this isn't right, or were you just not aware of them at all? Like I know exactly what you mean. I just don't know how to put it into words.
Yeah, there were gut feelings. There were like certain circumstances or events that happened that gave me pause. And I was like, that's weird. I don't really like that.
Yeah.
But I just went with it. And now looking back, those red flags were very significant actually, because I can see now where those red flags were like warnings to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. I had so many of those myself. That if I told you like about what they were, I'm sure same goes for you. You would be like, how did you not see that sort of thing? But you sort of just keep going on, and it's not worth it, and you sort of just want to think the best of this person, I think, in the end.
Yes, and I have a tendency to do that with everybody, to be honest. Like I think which is a good trait to have. Like it is, but then you also have to balance that with like true seeing of someone. And this is not to say that, we didn't have really great times in our marriage, and we really, really did. But there were red flags that were significant. And now that I can reflect back, I see how they have played out again. So history often repeats itself.
Yes.
Especially if someone isn't committed to their own self-development and growth and is not aware of those things in themselves. So I can look back and see how those red flags have just continued and repeated themselves.
So, how did it happen, if you don't mind me asking? Like, were you shocked, or did you see it coming, or was it a lot of talks over a long period of time, or
Yeah.
sudden, or how did it happen?
So I remember, so it was 2 years before we decided to actually separate. We were in Hawaii and we were having the most, you can't even imagine how magical this vacation was. I was with my ex-sister-in-law, who happens to be also one of my closest friends, and her now ex-husband, and then my husband at the time. And and my daughter, and we were in Hawaii, and we were like, it was amazing. Like there were like rainbows everywhere. There were like magic ponies on the side of mountains. Like I'm talking
Unicorns,
yeah,
Kathleen,
seriously, like it was amazing.
coming down the hill. I love
You
it.
could not imagine a more perfect setting. And I was like in bliss. And he was not. He was grumpy. And I remember saying to him, what is going on with you? Like, we are having the best time. We're with your sister. We're like having such a good time. And he said with such anger underneath the surface, this isn't the life I want.
Whoa.
And I was like, what? Like, what? What do you mean this isn't the life you want? What?
What?
Yeah. And I was like, I
Okay.
don't understand. Like, what is that? And so he, I won't get into all the details because like they are personal to him too, but the like married with a child and like living the more quote unquote suburban life was not what he wanted.
Oh my gosh. And so how many years in was this into your marriage?
So it was it was 2 years before we separated. So my daughter was like 2. And so I knew in that moment that my marriage would not last. And so I said, like, can we go to couples counseling? No, the answer was no. And it was like, we can work on this. Like, I was not done. This was the life I wanted. So yeah, it was very much the life I wanted. But I think I'm also a very intuitive person and I read people really well. And I was like, can I swear on this podcast?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, fuck, it is done for me. Like this marriage is going to be over, but I wasn't ready to give up. And so we came back from Hawaii and I met with a lawyer on I just wanted to know I had no idea. I had no idea. So I just wanted to know, like, what were my rights? Like, what did I need to do? If it came to that, like, I definitely was not thinking of filing for divorce. I was not thinking of separating, but I'm a planner. And I just was like, I just need to know because I want to be safe and I want my daughter to be taken care of. And I just don't know, what those rules are. I knew nothing. And so I had a meeting with the lawyer, just a consultation. And then that was it. I never talked to the lawyer again. And then over the next 2 years, things, when I look at it on the surface, things started to deteriorate. So, and this happens in a lot of marriages, like there was disconnection. So,
Zoe. Oh, Kathleen?
Yeah.
Oh, you're back. Did I freeze there for a minute?
You didn't.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Sorry, she just froze, but we're good. Kathleen, can you just repeat that one thing that you were saying? Because it was so good. What did you just say that you froze for? You were saying, what did you just say?
What was I saying? I was saying,
you went to a lawyer.
Okay, yeah. So we went to a lawyer. I went to a lawyer because I just wanted to like understand what my rights were. And then we kind of like went on, we just carried on. Like I did manage to convince him to go into couples therapy. And that's like a whole other thing I can talk about. But we actually never made it into the couples therapy together because the therapist was like, no, there's too much work to do individually.
Oh my Lord.
So, but on the surface, so I'm going to say like to answer the question of what went wrong, on the surface, what went wrong is what goes wrong with a lot of marriages, but there's disconnection. So when, people have children, the focus often goes to the kids, and then the relationship becomes second, and there's disconnection. So that definitely happened. There wasn't like a prioritization of the relationship. I think there was a fear of conflict definitely for him, and for me, I don't have a fear of conflict, but I had my own issues too, like of how I communicated. We were not on the same page. We were not communicating, and so that's on the surface. So that's what I'm going to say is on the surface, which happens to a lot of marriages. But what was underneath the surface, which I can only see now, is I had ADHD, undiagnosed. And so that was a factor also. One of my ex-husband's complaints, what he would say is, you can't focus on me. You can't focus on our conversation. And I also am really driven by work. And so when I am into the work zone, I'm really into the work zone. And so I think he felt, I don't want to speak for him, but I think he felt very alone in many ways, as did I. And so that was something underneath the surface that I didn't know until later. And then the other thing that was underneath the surface was addiction.
Right.
So my ex-husband was in recovery. But if anyone knows anything about addiction, it is an active recovery. So you don't just
it's not, you don't cut the substance out and then you're healed.
You're good.
It's like, I totally understand that. It has to be an active thing in your life, or this, even though you're not dealing with the substance, it's like you haven't taken away why you use that substance.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And so while he was sober for our marriage, he was not doing that work. And so, in my opinion, and so those underlying factors really made a big difference. So my ADHD, which I did not know I had until later, and I there's a lot of symptoms that go with that really make it difficult on a marriage, and also that underlying addiction as well. So I'm not surprised, actually, looking back, that it ended.
Yeah. So it's so weird looking back, isn't it? So how did it finally end?
So we were disagreeing on something, and it had been months of unhappiness, months and months. Couples counseling wasn't doing anything. And there was an argument about something. I won't get into the details of it, but it was the final straw for me. And I remember it was so weird. I was driving to my old job at the time, and I was talking to him on the phone, and I parked my car outside of my office, and the words just came out of my mouth. And I just said, I think we need to separate. And he didn't even pause. He didn't even think about it. He was just like, yeah, I totally agree. So clearly it was something that he also had wanted, but just didn't want to say. And then I was a mess. I was an absolute mess because I'd asked for it. And I think it was the right decision, but because I pulled the plug too, it was just so upsetting. It was so upsetting.
I know that it's the most upsetting. So what happened after that? Did you move? How did the move out happen?
Yeah. So I wish I could say that we had a really amicable separation, and we initially had wanted to. So we both read the book, Conscious Uncoupling.
Yeah.
We were going to be all mindful about our exit from our marriage. And It didn't happen that way. And so what ended up happening was we really quickly negotiated our separation agreement amongst ourselves. So for me, my goal was for my daughter to not be impacted, as much as like I didn't want her to really feel the effects of it, which in hindsight is a bit naive. So we kind of rushed through the separation agreement. We did it ourselves, and then we got it like notarized by lawyers, like separate lawyers. And then he was actually going to move. I have a separate apartment basically in my house.
I remember some of
yeah.
this.
Yeah. And he was going to move in for about 6 months to do a transition. Like, so my daughter, would have both of us and we would do that. So that's what we attempted. That lasted about 3 days. And the reason is 3 weeks after I signed the separation agreement, I found out that.
Yes. What did you find out? There's always something. What is it, Kathleen? Tell us.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I found out that my ex-husband had a girlfriend.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And how long had he had this girlfriend, do you think?
Well, I don't know, because he swears up and down that it started just a couple of weeks after we separated, which I call bullshit. But you know what? Like, I will give him the benefit of the doubt and say, sure, okay. It started 2 weeks after. I don't know. And it doesn't actually matter anymore to me. It was bad because we had both, I remember, sat at my kitchen table and said, we promised each other we're not going to start dating people for 6 months for the sake of our daughter. Like, just, to let this transition happen. And yeah, I found out he had a girlfriend and it sucked.
And so was he bringing, it's like, so then he was like, I have a girlfriend, I'm not living in the basement, and
no, Heather, he thought that the girlfriend could come to the apartment.
Cannot. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Wait, hold on. Like, you must have been an absolute mess. Like, 3 weeks later, he's asking to bring his girlfriend to live with him in the basement.
No. He didn't ask to bring her to live with him. He just thought that she'd be able to like visit and
come and visit. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, no. And so I was like, you need to move out and you need to be gone. And so I'm actually so proud of myself for the most part of how I handled things. Like, I even was like helping him try to find a place in our town so he could be close to my daughter, or our daughter. And but yeah, he ended up moving about half an hour away, and that was a great decision, a great move for us. And yeah, I mean, I will say that I was doing well for the first few weeks of our separation. The girlfriend piece was hard, not because I was jealous, because I wasn't, but I just lived in this place for a long time of how long had that been going on for?
Yeah.
The reason why our marriage was breaking down.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I still don't know. And I'm okay with that. But yeah, that was, and I'm talking like, I was doing well and then I wasn't. And the me not doing well was like, I couldn't function in my life. Like, I was drinking more. I don't drink. I don't drink anything now, but I was drinking more. I wasn't really taking care of myself. And there was a huge turning point for me. And that turning point came on the kitchen floor. And I was basically on the kitchen floor sobbing for about 3 hours on and off. And it was in that moment that I realized I could either just fall under the weight of this sorrow and this grief, or I could make something of it.
Mm-hmm.
I really had this conscious choice. I remember thinking, what could I make from this? Like, how could I grow from this? And I don't know why I had that thought, but I was like, this can transform me. This can transform me. This pain is going to transform me. And I knew it. And then after that 3 hours, I gave myself that time on the kitchen floor, and I got up and I was like, let's go.
Oh my God. That is so amazing. So from that minute on, did you just feel differently from then on?
Yeah, I felt differently. I didn't feel like, I'm not going to say I was like all sunshine and lollipops after that, but when there was pain, I didn't numb it. So I actually stopped drinking, and I've been sober for over 2 years now. And I realized that like all the things that I was trying to numb the pain were also impeding my transformation. So when I felt pain, I sat with it, which sucked. I will say, like, it really was not fun. But when I felt pain, I sat with it. When I wanted to react poorly and lash out in anger, I took a breath. I took a moment. I walked away. I'm not going to say I was perfect, because I wasn't. And there was a lot of stuff that happened afterwards with the legal aspects of things that really, I don't think is set up to have like calm and peace.
Right.
But I did my very best. And then life did start to transform for me.
That's amazing. So what does life look like for you now?
Life is beautiful. So what does life look like for me now? I will tell you. I have my daughter, and I'm a full-time single mom now. And so I don't share custody of my daughter with my ex-husband. There's a lot that goes into that, and a lot of backstory there.
Well, I was gonna, that's pretty big deal that he went from being a co-parent to like not a parent at all. Does he still, this was gonna be my next question, so we'll go into this and then we'll get back to the other one, but does he still see your daughter?
No, he has not seen or spoken to my daughter in 3 years. And that is not by my choice. That is by his choice.
No.
Yeah.
No, Kathleen, I find that so, knowing him after meeting him, I just find
that
so unbelievable.
It is. And I think like it is such a painful part of the divorce and separation. And I don't want to scare your listeners being like, oh, if you get a divorce, this is what happens. And it's not like, there was precedent here for that to happen. And I won't get into the details because like it is private to him, but I did get full custody of my daughter, and he is absolutely welcome to have a relationship with her. He's absolutely welcome to see her, to contact her. He has chosen not to. So I've been very present with her on, because there's a lot of grief around that too.
I bet. Well, she's so lucky to have you. And I mean, losing her to, like, I can't, I'm just so happy she's still with you all the time, because you would be the best mom in the world, I'm sure. So do you talk to him anymore?
No, I mean, we haven't spoken either in about 3 years. There's some like, transactional. Am I breaking up?
Yeah, but you're back now.
Okay. We have limited contact when there needs to be, but not in person, not over the phone, very limited. So
do you know, I guess you know about him and his life through his sister, maybe?
No, because she does also not have contact with him. So it's sad. There's a lot of sadness, but there's also a lot of good. And so the good I will share is that his sister is extremely close to my daughter. So like extremely close. And then my ex-husband was married before me, and he had 2 children. I don't know if you remember this, Heather.
Yeah, I do. But wait, when he was with you, was he still seeing them?
No. So he was when we met. Yes, he was, but then he wasn't. And so he's estranged from them as well. And when my ex-husband and I got divorced, my daughter did not have a relationship with her sisters. She had never met them because it just was not that, like, it was not
right.
that.
She was the ex, and that was the ex. That was the right. Yeah.
Yeah. She was like the ex. And it was, there was a different narrative that was presented to me about who she was. Well, I'm happy to say she's one of my closest friends.
Oh my God. That's such an amazing thing to come out of this.
And my daughter is super close with her sisters. They're much older than her, but they're amazing girls. I love them. And we see each other a lot. We celebrate all our main holidays, birthdays together. And I would say his sister and his ex-wife are 2 of the closest people to me.
Wow. Isn't that interesting? Like, he's completely gone.
Yeah.
These other 2 people that were extrememely close to him, share his kids, like sister, are now such a huge part of your life.
Yeah.
Right.
We're also.
Do you think he's still with the person that he was with when he left, or we just don't?
Yeah. I actually have no idea like what he's doing in his life. I don't know. And I don't think about it too much.
Yeah. I'm sure you're like, goodbye. But so Kathleen, like, I just see you and you look so happy. Now, getting back to what does your life look like now? And do you feel happier in this new life? Like, just tell me everything.
Okay. So first of all, I am not who I was anymore. I've changed so much, and in such good ways. Like, I know myself so much more now than I did back then. And this funny thing happened when I was going through my separation and divorce. I started posting about it on social media. I had a blog, and I started getting messages from people all over the world and like wanting to talk to me. So people from like Germany, England, like different places wanting to have phone conversations with me about my divorce. And I was like, this is weird, but I did it. And this was before the pandemic. And I decided, I had a friend who was a coach, and she had done like pretty extensive coaching training. So I decided to go for one training. I'm just going to do one weekend. And it was like 3 weeks before the first lockdown here in Ontario. So I did it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm meant to do this. And so over the span of 2 more years, I started doing more and more training. And as the pandemic was happening, I started getting clients. I didn't advertise. I wasn't doing really any marketing. It was just through word of mouth. I started building up this clientele of clients through divorce coaching, and also other coaching, but predominantly divorce coaching. And one of the things I found was, coaches aren't regulated. Like, they're not regulated health professionals. So when someone has underlying trauma or mental health challenges,
right,
like that, I am not qualified as a coach to help them with that. And I also started seeing really common denominators in people's divorces, and what their relationship brought them, like how their relationship brought them to divorce. And I was like, I want to help this. Like, I want to see change in the world around this. So Heather, I can't even tell you, sometimes I look back and I can't believe I did this, but I applied to get my master's to become a therapist. I got into school. I quit my day job as a single mom and started divorce coaching, I'd say like 3/4 of the time. And then I'm also doing a full-time master's program, and I am very close to being done. And I am specializing in couples therapy.
I love this so much, Kathleen. I'm so proud of you. You are so amazing. Like, this is amazing.
Thank you. And so I am doing a ton of extra training. I'm obsessed with working with couples, like absolutely obsessed with it. My idea of fun on a Friday night is watching YouTube videos of couples therapy. Like, that's how boring I am. But
I love that.
I love it. I love it so much. And I also am super passionate about, I'm going to continue doing my divorce coaching, even though I'm going to have my psychotherapy practice. And the other group I'm going to also work with is people who want to make changes in themselves and in their marriage, but their partner doesn't want to go to couples counseling for whatever reason. Because I still think there's so much change that can happen as an individual, even though your partner may not want to go to couples therapy. So I'm really going to focus my practice around that. And I am super excited. So that's on the work front. I have been with the same person now for 3 years.
Oh my goodness. I see the pictures. I think in the first, like, I remember, I think when he first came along, I never saw his face, but I just like knew he was there because I don't know if you were posting his face. And I was like, I need to see his face. Like, I'm like, I need to see him. I need to see him. So he looks so nice and cute. Tell me about him.
So I don't post about him a lot because he's social media shy and doesn't like anything on the internet, basically. He is a local boy. So I live in the country and he's my country boy. And he's great. He's a bit older than me. He owns his own business in the construction industry. And he has 2 kids that are quite a bit older than my daughter, but he is like gem of the earth. He could not be more different than my first husband. And that's a great thing. And we're very different, him and I, but we have such a solid relationship. It's so healthy. I am so happy. And, you know, I've learned so much from him. I've learned so much about myself and relationships because I'm in such a healthy relationship now. So yeah, there you go. We met maybe 3 weeks after the first lockdown. So our relationship was a pandemic relationship, and we actually we didn't have a proper dinner date until I think like a year into our relationship.
So great. That's so great. It's so amazing to, like, when you're going through the hardest part of getting divorced and that grief and everything, it's hard to believe if someone told you, like, don't worry, Kathleen, like, this is where you're going. It's so hard to believe, but I truly believe, like, and I'm sure you would say this too, everything does happen for a reason. And even the bad things sometimes happen to move things forward for better things. Like, it, you know, and it's so hard to believe at the time. But what I'm trying to say is, for people that are listening to this that are in divorce or thinking about divorce or have a lot of grief or anyone like that, I think people just want to know that there's hope.
I totally agree. Do you remember our phone call?
Yes, I do.
So I was in the midst of the most horrible part of the grief. I can't get out of bed. I can't stop crying. My eyes are so puffy, they're shut stage of the grief. And the question I wanted to know from you is, how long will this pain last? And I remember asking you that. And I was like, how long will this pain last? Because I just need to know how long it's going to last. And that's like, now as someone who's a future therapist and a divorce coach, it's like the one question I can't answer. I can't say, you know, it's going to be 3 weeks or it's going to be this. But what I can say is, the pain can transform you, so use it to your advantage. and you will get through it. Like there is another side. But you have to walk through it. You can't go around it.
No,
And I've seen people go around it.
No, you cannot.
You cannot.
It's like,
No.
it's like, you have to continue on through, or you're not going to get through.
I think the point though that you were trying to make is that there's hope, and that's also so important. And what I talk to about my clients is like, what is the life you want to create for yourself? I am living the life I have dreamed of. I am becoming a therapist, and I'm almost 45. Like I have made a career change. I am thriving as a single mom. I love my partner. These are great things. I'm not saying there's not shitty times in my life. Believe me, when my daughter has got the flu and whatever, and having a hard time, it is hard being a single parent. It's hard, it's hard. But there's also it's hard co-parenting too. And I think you would know this, Heather, is you have to say goodbye to your daughter every week. And that's really hard also.
I think, I can't imagine being a single mom half of the time. I find hard for two reasons. It's hard to be a single mom, and it's hard not to be a mom, right? For the other week. Yeah. But I also think a lot of people don't know what it's like to just be a single parent all the time. That's a lot of work. That's really hard.
They don't.
It's a lot, but I can't believe what you've been able to do, Kathleen. I'm so I'm amazed by you and your strength and what you're doing now and how you're helping people. You're just the best. Do you have any other I guess you've pretty much said it all. If you could go back and say to the girl that was lying there on the floor crying something now, what would you say to her?
I think I would tell her that you will find strength that you never knew possible, and you will become just a better version of yourself. And I think it's that hope. I think if I saw that girl, and I do, because all my clients are at some point that girl on the floor, and I try to tell them, you are going to be okay. You are going to be okay, and you will get through this. And I think that's a really important point. I don't know, Heather, if you found this going through your divorce, but a lot of my married friends could not relate to what I was going through.
Oh, no one married. Even my parents couldn't relate. My friends, nobody. That was really tough.
That was probably one of the toughest things for me, is that some of the closest people to me couldn't relate. And I'm not to bash my friends, because I think what sometimes happens is when your close friends get divorced and you're in a marriage and maybe your marriage is struggling, it's like holding up a mirror, and it's scary. It's oh my gosh, that could be me. And it becomes scary, right? And then there's a lot of judgment. I had a friend, she's no longer a friend, and you'll understand why in a second, who's actually a therapist, and who told me in the middle of my custody issues with my daughter that I didn't work hard enough at my marriage. So I guess my final point is if your friend is going through something like this, is going through a divorce, just listen, just give them hope. Even you're not there. People, my friends, I did not want them to fix it. They couldn't even begin to try and fix it. But I think that lots of people who haven't gone through divorce have no idea how hard it is.
Yeah.
And it's every aspect of your life is falling apart. And so just to have someone support you, not in any way except to listen, is so huge.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And it's friends can't do anything to help. So
They
just
can't.
to listen is the best. But like, some people, they think of themselves in the same situation, or they put certain situations. I totally get that. So I think that's a really good point for anyone that's listening that, may have a friend going through it. I think going back, if I think about it, I just needed someone to like hear me cry.
Yeah.
Just listen to me cry for a while.
And you did that for me. Like, I mean, I don't think we had seen each other in a while. And you were like, I'm here for you. And I was like, what? And it was so helpful to talk to someone who understood like the pain of it. And just to be like, you're going to get through it. And, I do that for my clients now. Like they know, I mean, they're going to know after listening to this podcast, like the nature of my divorce, but they know I'm divorced. They mostly know I'm a full-time single mom. And so there's a relatability there. And I can say, listen, I have walked through the fire. You can too.
100%. And I think the reason that I'm doing this is because I feel like there's not enough support. There's not enough information. There's not enough, like, you're going to be okay. And so I just want to put it out there. If anybody needs any hope, I am here to talk. And Kathleen is a divorce coach. Kathleen, are you like open to new clients for divorce coaching or no?
Yes. So folks can go to my website at Kathleen Killen, KILLEN.com. And divorce coaching information is up on there. And then also I'm going to have a little wait list for my therapy clients. So if you're in Ontario specifically, you would need couples therapy, or you are having some challenges in your relationship and your partner doesn't want to go to couples therapy, I would love to see you soon. So there will be a link on my website when this comes out to get on my wait list. And
yes, I want to be on your wait list.
But outside of Ontario and then outside of Ontario, I am still going to continue doing divorce coaching. So I welcome new clients, and I'm so happy to see you today, Heather.
Oh my God, Kathleen, you are one of the best humans. I love you. I'm so proud of you. And thank you so much for doing this. And I'll see you in 2 months when your therapy opens.
Okay. Thanks so much, Heather.
Okay. Thanks, Kathleen.
Bye.
Bye.